welcome back to yet another episode of Fresh Juice, an indie game podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tommy Fresh, and joined as always, it is
Matty Juice. What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 58. Is that a fresh juice stress ball you just threw in the air or an actual orange? Oh, it is.
It
Oh my
is.
God. If you guys find us at any conventions, specifically PAX East 2025, we might have some of those for you. So be on the lookout for us.
It's going to be a wild time. We still have a lot of time until PAX East, but listen, I'm counting down the days. Nothing else big in my life is happening before then. So, no, that is a joke. But listen, we got a great episode for you all. We played the new early access game, Sulfur, which we had talked about, I think, maybe when the original demo came out. This is this is weird. Like, I want to call it a Tarkov style looter shooter, but like, you see people complain when people say that, so I'm not really sure if that's right. Can you elaborate on that? Because I'll look at YouTube comments, people are like, just because it has a grid style inventory system doesn't make it Tarkov style or whatever.
Yeah, it's I think at its core, it's an extraction shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Basically is what it is. So similar to Tarkov in that way, but I would say a lot more simplified. Oh, definitely a lot more simplified than Tarkov. And it also kind of like borrows from like old school games like Doom. It's kind of got like that feel, or the old school Wolfenstein. So yeah, I would say, you go in, find weapons, treasure, and then you extract.
Okay.
Right. And then, so, that's basically the gameplay loop for the game. But yeah, it is weird though, because like going into it, you wouldn't really think it would be that. I don't know. For some reason, like you just wouldn't think it would be like that. And we'll talk about the art and all that stuff. I think that plays into it. But But
yeah,
I guess before we get into that, right?
Yeah, we're gonna review that game. Yeah, I just had to I'm tripping all over my words right now, but we're gonna talk about our review, and I'm actually gonna lean pretty heavily on Matty for this one because, well, it turns out I'm not good at these games. So that's just a fact of life. But that's all right. We'll play as many deck builder roguelikes as you want to throw at me. But before we do that, we got to catch up. It has been a week, and
yes,
you're like in the throes of being a dog dad. How's that going?
It's going good. Yeah, it's a lot of work. I'm tired, but it's been fun. And he's awesome. Pluto is his name, by the way. I tweeted a picture of him, I think. So if you catch me at Matty Gorm, you can see a picture of him. But yeah, no, he's doing good. He's like starting to listen to us a bit more, which is good with the commands and stuff that we've been trying to teach him. So every day, yeah, getting better. And I was actually talking to Maria about this earlier, but I was like, it's oddly like he sleeps more than he's like energetic. Which is like, yeah, we were expecting the opposite. But he like sleeps like he's sleeping right now. But I mean, it's nighttime, but he was sleeping all day basically.
Well, tell him to get a job. Jeez.
I know. Jeez. He's big enough to get a job, But yeah, no, it's that was good. It's been good. And also this weekend we saw each other.
We sure did.
Because we threw my mom a surprise birthday party. So that was good. That was fun. It was a good time. And even though my car died, basically,
crazy.
Which they're coming on Thursday to fix it, but basically my doors would not open on my car, folks. So that wasn't fun. But we got there, Ubered, and yeah, it was a good weekend. It felt like it flew by though, probably just because like of all that stuff going on. So I'm actually looking forward a bit to this weekend because I took Monday off because I'm going to a wedding on Sunday.
Ooh, a Sunday wedding.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's like right when the Eagle game is. So whatever. But literally, it's like starting when the game starts. But it'll be nice to just kind of like hopefully sleep in a little bit on Monday because Pluto won't be there, and like who's gonna
Mhm.
wake me up in like a hotel room we're staying over. So I'm kind of looking forward to that a bit. But yeah, it's been fun lately. How about you, Tommy? How was your weekend? How was your Sunday?
My Sunday was good. Yeah, you know, did the whole happy 70th to Aunt MJ. She's the
Yeah.
best. That was a lot of fun. And then Sunday had a 5th anniversary tournament for Flesh and Blood at a local game store. They're doing a bunch of these all over the world this past weekend, where you can get a special promo for a new hero. It was really cool. Our friend John showed up and he played some
Nice.
games. I watched him. And John, if you're listening, we got work to do, brother. We're gonna really put the nose to the grindstone, and we're gonna get you to where you need to be. But no, it seemed like I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. It was pretty cool. Uh, yeah, I mean that's. I feel like it was an eventful weekend, but I had to wake up really early this morning to go to work. 2 hours away, and then I'm panicking because I get there. And just so you know, we're recording this on Monday, so the election hasn't happened yet. And I get there, and it's out in central Pennsylvania, swing state. And my coworker who lives on the way, like we
Hmm.
take the same way to work, but obviously his drive's a lot shorter. But he is at like basically halfway, and he's like, "Oh man, you're gonna have a tough time getting home today." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Well, you know, Trump's in Reading, Pennsylvania, and Kamala's
Mm.
in Allentown." And I think he said is like there's gonna be all these closures, and I'm like, oh no, what time they start? I'm like, he's like, it says anytime from like noon to 6. I'm like, well,
Oh my
I've
god.
I've been caught in traffic on my way home from there, and it is a nightmare because it's normally an easy drive because it's like kind of out in the sticks, but
Hmm.
like if it gets backed up, if the interstate gets closed for whatever reason, you're like stuck because you're in the sticks. Like
Yeah.
there's not really any alternate routes once you start on that route. So I finished my meeting at work and I was like, I'm getting my car. I'm grabbing my stuff. I'll see you guys later. And didn't hit any traffic. That was pretty nice.
Mm.
That was pretty nice. But I was really tired. I was so tired. And
Yeah. That's good.
but
Yeah.
made some soup tonight. Soup was good.
Nice. Good
Chicken
soup.
soup. Chicken soup with like
Yeah.
some cabbage in it, some other veggies. It's nice. Cold weather. Some people in my house are sick, so let's let's get some.
Get him out of the house.
Let's get some, yeah, get out of the house. I'm gonna have some soup. So, but yeah, but I'm happy that we're in the throes of this week. Just doing stuff. I just got the gifts I mostly all set for my groomsmen. I think.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I got one half of it. I got to make sure I can get the other half shipped. So
Okay.
I mean
Okay.
that nothing like the last minute, folks. And we will see. It's just a little silly thing, and Matty will see. Maybe he'll wear it not wear it. It's not a wearable. It's not something you can wear. Maybe you will have it posted up somewhere in your room for
Mm.
a future episode. But uh, we got to talk about some news.
Yeah.
I have some unfortunate news.
Oh no.
Well,
What
not
happened?
everybody has joined the Discord.
Oh, what
That's
Discord?
the Fresh Juice Discord. We have one, folks.
Oh my god.
Get in
That
there.
that's unbelievable.
So yeah, it's in the show notes. Check it out. But I mean, listen. The reality of it is sometimes with indie games, it's a lot of news in one week, and sometimes it's like no news, and sometimes a dribbling of news, and we have a dribbling of news this week, and it's discussing the developers, or is it the devs?
Yeah.
Yes, the developers of Another Crab's Treasure, which is getting a lot of critical praise and is up for a lot of awards. What's going on with this?
Yeah. So, Aggro Crab Games, who makes Another Crab's Treasure, which sold over 100,000 copies. It's got over like 10,000 positive reviews on Steam. And they are struggling to fund their next game. It's their third game, um, which obviously is very surprising for how successful Another Crab's Treasure was, especially for such a small team, and those 100,000 copies were just in the first 4 days that it was out. So, I would say pretty close to like AAA level, right?
Yeah,
And some Souls likes can be like that, but this one was very different. So it's just surprising to see that they're looking for someone to help publish their next game, and they're struggling with funds. But they did say, it's been a tough year for 2024, and it's taken no prisoners. So even successful studios seem to be having some trouble here. So yeah, pretty interesting stuff. What do you think, Tom?
yeah. It seems. I mean, listen. The sentiment is that like the industry is like kind of in a spiral right now, and I think it's actually with a lot of industries where we saw the, I guess you can call it the, I'm thinking of a word, like kind of the putting the artistry first, kind of
Okay.
like a lot of industries where we saw that kind of have a resurgence,
Hmm.
like whether it is like restaurants, video games, beverages, food items, which really got popular like in the past 10 years going into
Yeah.
COVID. And then, COVID was a nice little boost for a lot of them, right? Because
Mm.
there was a lot of extra money in people's pockets when they got stimulus checks and stuff like that. So, like, you had this kind of expectations of sales, and then it's hard to meet that expectation of sales on the other side of that bell curve. So it's just kind of a shame to kind of see the kind of snapback right now. And I think
Yeah.
this is what a lot of people are feeling, and including like investors, because if investors aren't doing well, they're not going to invest, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's a bit of a victim of poor planning, and hopefully that everything kind of resets as we get more comps going into the next year. So it's a shame to see this. I have to imagine at least some kind of crowdfunding will get this dev another game's worth of funding, because
Yeah.
obviously Another Crab's Treasure is really humming. So
Yeah, they did actually. It's not covered in the article, but I did see this on Twitter, and they followed up with another tweet that did say like something like, "Thank you so much to all like the publishers that have reached out already. Like your support's been amazing." So it seems like that tweet, that story helped get them in connections with people that could potentially help with funding, which is good. But obviously, not every game can do that, right? Because they have a decent sized following. So, yeah, pretty interesting stuff. But I think, yeah, you make a lot of good points there. And,
thank you.
hopefully, yeah, yeah, you're just a good point maker, aren't you?
Listen, points.
Like,
Call me
like
a
Larry
point guard.
Bird. Yeah.
Listen, Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Who else is a famous point guard? Allen Iverson.
Michael Jordan?
I think he was a
Was he a
guard.
point guard? Was he a guard? Okay,
I
he
don't
wasn't
know.
pointing. I don't know. We should probably know that, right?
There's point guard and
Michael,
there's guard. No, he's a forward. He had to have been a forward, right?
shooting guard,
Shooting
small
guard.
forward, outfielder. Oh, that's baseball. Okay. It just listed, if you just search Michael Jordan position, it just lists it like in Google like that. Shooting guard, small forward, outfielder.
Yeah, I mean, he did have a stint in the MLB.
Yep,
Have you
he
ever heard
did.
the the rumor about his stint in the MLB?
No.
Well, this is kind of a, not a rumor, but like a conspiracy theory of sorts. That, and this is well known, that Michael Jordan had a issue with gambling, right? And
Yeah.
that he had kind of really gotten over the line when he was in the NBA with his gambling addiction, and perhaps maybe doing some stuff that was probably unsavory with in regards to the integrity of the game. Now, the idea is that the NBA said, we're not going to punish you, but you can't do it. You can't do it anymore. And you can't play anymore because you're technically going to be banned if you keep doing this. So you're going to have to go. And he's like, well, what am I going to do? And they're like, well, just, you're probably okay at baseball. Go do that. So, which is impressive. To go play another major league sport.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You always hear about like the athletes that are like, you know, someone in the NFL, and they're like, oh, he was an amazing college basketball player too. You know, they're always bringing it up, but you rarely see people do 2 pro sports. So yeah. Michael Jordan, you know, didn't know if it would be brought up during this show, but hey, you never know what happens.
There's a lot of Michael Jordan lore with me. And I told it on my other podcast that I thought that Michael Jordan was my father. Now, that sounds crazy. I know you're looking at me and saying, Tommy's lost it. Now, I was a child, and I'll tell the story now. Why not?
Wait, this is real?
This is real. I was a child. I was going to Farmingdale Elementary, 2nd grade. Mrs. M, shout out Mrs. M, did something where there was a pen pal, right? And we all were writing this pen pal, but it was a mystery pen pal. And in my head at the time, when I was in 2nd grade, Space Jam, the biggest thing ever. It was the greatest movie to ever be made. It was a shame that it didn't win any Oscars at the time. And so I'm thinking, wow, they're like, oh, this is like a really cool person, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like asking all these leading questions because like, oh, I want it to be Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
I want it to be Michael Jordan. I'm asking these leading questions. And I'm like, and then I started making up facts in my head. I was like, oh, how many kids do you have? And they were like 2. And I was like, I think Michael Jordan has 2 kids. I think in reality, I think he had like 3, maybe even more. So I make up all these facts in my head. I'm like, this is Michael Jordan. And I'm like, at one point I'm like, is it possible you like, they mentioned being related to me. And I was like, oh my God, Michael Jordan's my dad. And I was in my head, I'm like, I can't believe this. I don't know I'm going to tell my real dad.
Yeah, right? What happened when you went home from school that day? You remember seeing your dad and being like,
well, I didn't
just thinking like, yeah, he's not really a real dad. He can't be.
Well, I didn't say anything to him. I was just like, well, I mean, this is my little secret, right?
Yeah.
And then the day of the reveal of who it was, right? I'm like, wait, and like Mrs. M's like,
you wait for Michael Jordan to walk in.
Yeah, Mrs. M's like,
Tommy!
Oh. And I'm just like, Dad! And I just run up. And I'm waiting for the reveal of who it is. I'm like, Michael Jordan's walking through the door of my 2nd grade classroom. This is insane. I can't believe this is happening. And in walks my mom. And I was like, wait, Michael Jordan's wife?
Yeah.
And I
you
still
married
didn't,
Michael Jordan.
I think I still
great.
didn't get it. I was like, it's like, is he not coming?
Yeah.
And then it was like,
this is my mom, but he's my dad. So where's my dad?
So it was, my mom was the pen pal, which is embarrassing. Wow. I will say that. And I should have known. Well, I didn't know because I didn't understand how computers worked. Every time I had to write like an assignment on Microsoft Word on Windows 98, every time I would start, it would automatically fill in Dear Pen Pal.
Okay.
And I was just like, oh, this is just like some preset setting. And It just had remembered, the AI had remembered my mom typing 30 Dear Pen Pal letters a week.
Wait, so at home, this is your home computer?
Yeah,
Did this?
my home computer.
So if you were like, I got to type up my resume, like you might accidentally print out like Dear Pen Pal, you know?
Yeah. Like it would automatically do that. And
Wow.
I remember asking my mom, like, oh, do I just delete this? Yeah, oh, don't worry about that. And she probably thought, oh, he knows I'm the pen pal. And meanwhile, I'm like, Michael
This is a
Jordan.
weird bug. Yeah, what's going on here?
What's going on here? Speaking of pen pals, you know Michael Jordan's mine? Anyway,
that's great.
That's my Michael Jordan.
I hope he hears that.
You know what? The more I hear about him now, maybe, you know, the gambling and the you know, kind of some drug abuse. I don't know. I'm probably making that up. He was just really good at basketball.
Yeah.
I just was like, well, he's got to be taking steroids. Him, Barry Bonds, all, you know, Mark McGrath, Mark McGuire. Anyway,
Mark McGrath. All right. Who the hell is that? Who is that? Sounds like a country singer.
It might have been, or was he the gym teacher at my elementary school?
I don't think his name was Mark.
Okay.
Might have been. You got elementary school in the mind.
I know. Well, it was a disappointing time. But anyway, listen, we got to talk about sulfur. And, you know, we talked earlier saying this is a Tarkov inspired extraction shooter, but there's some interesting twists going on here, especially with the vibe. Let's be honest. So, you know, the little blurb we have here is Sulfur is a modern, old school action adventure. Outsmart enemies, find treasure, improve weapons, harness powers, delve deeper, find answers, make it end. What are we making end is the question. So let's get right into it. Sulfur is kind of this like pretty straightforward game. You hop in. You know I said that I was not good at it. It could be straightforward and me not be good at it. So you hop in, right? You have a pistol and a samurai sword, right? And that is your weapon set. The samurai sword is...
That person died immediately. Yeah. This, by the way, this gameplay is courtesy of No Commentary Casual Gaming on YouTube. But
yeah, I thought it was my.
Was that
gameplay.
How it was for? Yeah, I was gonna say, is that how it happened for you? Like that?
Not that bad. I think make it further than that. So,
okay,
you go in. You're running around. There's these little like gremlin things. There's like an evil witch that kind of goes into this cave. And you're going through, you're running around, you're picking up like items when you kill enemies, and then there's also like mushrooms all over the place that you can pick up as well. There is typically a kind of shop owner in each level. I don't know if it's each level, but like the first couple levels I ran into a shopkeeper, as well as a like a pot, like a cauldron where you can make potions and stuff like that. And you make it with the ingredients that you find as you go through. Now, you go through, you're extracting things, you're upgrading things back at the base, where there's another shop that kind of gives you this kind of nice boost throughout your runs. And you need to get a certain amount of essence. Now, if you were just watching on the YouTube, there's an amulet. Or watching on Spotify, too, because we put the videos on Spotify.
Yeah, we do.
Just shout that out, you know. Shout out Spotify. I'm ready for Wrapped. But you got to get a certain amount of essence to escape the cave, bring the stuff that you had back, sell stuff, use the coins, buy more stuff, yada, 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 yada. Now, I was not good at this game. However, I recognized that the mechanics were pretty clean, very simple. I was enjoying them. I was dying a lot. Now, I think perhaps I was maybe being a little too hasty when I was playing. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll just kind of like blitz through these enemies, and I'll try to shoot them on the way back and stuff like that. Didn't ever work out. I would make it a decent amount, and then I would get swarmed or surprised by these enemies. And I don't count it against the game because I truly felt like I was like, I'm just not good at this game. So I'm gonna rely on you to give a little bit better of a gameplay review here.
Yeah, no problem. This is a genre I'm like pretty comfortable with. I'd say I'd play a decent amount of like extraction shooters, which I think this is the closest. That's the closest genre or new genre that is for this game. You could probably categorize it in a few different ways, but I'd say that's like the main genre. But yeah, it's really, like you said, simplistic. We'll talk about the art because the art also follows that simplistic style as well. What's interesting about this game from a gameplay standpoint, though, is typically in extraction shooters, you have to go to a specific like extraction area for a certain amount of time in order to actually extract. So, like games like Escape from Tarkov, you have to go to a specific spot on the map, and usually, when you do that, because Tarkov is a game that's also PvP, so it's PvPVE. Yeah, that's what it is technically. um, those areas you camp at, and you'll occasionally get some people that go by, right? That have some good loot that are trying to extract. You kill them, and then you extract. This game is different because it's only PVE, so you're able to extract whenever you would want to. At least from my experience, I don't know if being in combat makes it so you can't take that out, but every time I did extract, I kind of felt like it was like whatever I wanted. And you do that using the amulet. So that's just like an interesting part of this extraction shooter is like really you extract when you feel you're ready, which is kind of interesting. With like, you know, just the what we've been accustomed to for all extraction shooters. It's always pretty much like go to a specific area, but those ones typically have PvP in them as well. So a bit different. And then yeah, you get back to the kind of like main town area, and that's where there's different vendors. You have a stash there, so that's common in like extraction shooters. You have a stash that you can put items in. You can find that stash box randomly while playing. This game I believe is procedural. It seems like it is at least. I don't think these are like handcrafted maps just because they're so simplistic, and there's a lot of like kind of terraforming that goes on with kind of the way the maps are designed, which is interesting. But you can find stashes out in the world, so you have that whole system. So you can stash things before you die, because if you die, you lose everything other than your pistol and your samurai sword that is kind of always default on you. So that was interesting. But overall, with the gameplay, I just kind of felt like um, there wasn't a lot of variance with like the enemies or with each of my runs. So with a game like this, you know, it has a lot more freedom than a game like Tarkov, because Tarkov has specific maps, right? Where people you end up learning like the meta, right, of like where to go and like what to look for and things like that. This game, because it's procedural, or at least it seems like it is. It wasn't in the description of the game, but I assume it is. I just kind of felt like it would be great if there was more variance with the enemies and the locations I end up going to. A lot of the stuff looks the same. Now the game is early access, so like that's plays into like the factor, but just in the overall experience of the gameplay, eventually it kind of got a little boring, I'd say. There are exciting moments when like you find a new weapon or you find a new gun. You're like, oh, awesome! Like found a shopkeeper. I can buy ammo for this new weapon that I've never tried before. There's cool like armor and stuff that you can get too. So that's always cool, like discovering that stuff. But I just kind of felt like the in betweens ended up being like pretty similar. You have like different enemies that are like archers and like ones that are close up and like these kind of dog things that chase after you. Then occasionally there's like a crazy enemy, like a wizard or like this thing that comes like this ghost that comes at you. Stuff that like killed me multiple times just because it comes out of nowhere. So like there is like variance in like what the enemies look like, just not really what they do overall. And I would like to have a little bit more variance as I go through the world. And I'm sure they'll work on that through early access. But for me, the gameplay just kind of like, there were exciting moments, and then there were just moments of just like, there's nothing in this room. Like I'll just go try to find where the next room is. And there's nothing in this room too. Like just a lot of those moments for me right now, with the gameplay. So yeah, that's kind of my take on it. There are some other positives in the other categories. I do think there's potential for this gameplay to get to like a really fun point. I know a lot of people have been enjoying the gameplay for this game, and they see the potential. Just from a review standpoint at early access, I just am excited for more, and I just think it's a little alpha-y feeling, I guess, is kind of how I would describe it. Um, yeah. So, yeah, that's hopefully I filled up the time there, but
Okay,
yeah, but no,
5 more minutes.
that's how I'm feeling about the gameplay.
Yeah, you know, I I don't have a lot of experience with this genre, so like, obviously I was having some difficulty playing the game, and this could be a me thing, and I think it is. Um, but it felt, I will say, from what I played, it did feel like I wanted more regions, and I'm just looking at the roadmap right now, and I think that they are adding that.
Hmm.
So, just for because it is early access, the roadmap as it stands is, I mean, we're in EA right now. The first thing it says fixing shit. Makes sense. Deep Woods, which I imagine is going to be another kind of region or like mission.
Yeah.
Guns and magic, so more spells, more weapons. Fortress, desert. Those are probably two different regions as well. Revenge, maybe a key story point for this witch, wizard, warlock thing that kind of you're kind of chasing. Endless mode, which, hey, listen, if you're playing a roguelike, you want an endless mode. It's tough, right? Because it's hard to make endless mode fun. There's only like one example I can think of that endless mode is fun. And it begins with a B and ends with the outro. And and then the stretch goal is multiplayer at 1 million wish list or 200,000 sales. This does seem like a fun game to play multiplayer, so we'll see. Now let's talk about the story. You start with a little bit of a cutscene, right, where you're in a truck and you're driving, and then there's like a evil witch, and the evil witch goes into the cave, and then that's the setup, right? It's kind of as much setup as you need. You know why you're going into the cave, because you got to go fight this witch. And then there's really cool like side characters. I think that there is a lot of character in this game, and a lot of like, it feels like home, if that makes sense. That's probably sounds stupid, but like it feels very comfortable, and like you're like, oh, I want to actually talk to these characters. These characters are welcoming, I think is the word I was looking for. It's a very welcoming vibe, despite it kind of being bloody and stuff like that when you're out playing. But it has this really neat vibe. It ties into the art as well, where it feels almost like a Adult Swim game or something like that, and that is something that really speaks to me as a fan of Adult Swim. When we were growing up and stuff like that. So I enjoyed the minimal story elements that we've gotten, and then kind of looking at this roadmap, it's clear that they want to round out the story at some point before 1.0. So I enjoyed it. It's not like I'm like, I gotta know what happens next. It's more like, okay, nice little vibe to deal with.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting because like the description for the game where it ends with delve deeper, find answers, make it end. Right. So like even the description of the game is excuse me, hinting that there's like a story planned for the game. But yeah, I didn't really maybe I didn't get far enough to like maybe have another cutscene or something like that. But what is interesting is like the amulet that you use to extract also like provides story elements, right? Like they explain, oh, did a witch just go in that cave? You know, like starts talking to you. So it's like a talking amulet. And it kind of like talks a bit throughout the game. So maybe they're planning to like move the story along through that. You know, maybe the amulet will give you a hint of where to go or something like that. You know, give it maybe you're given a fork in the road sort of situation. And that can advance the story. But yeah, there isn't like a lot of strong story elements here. I would say the most story that's in the game is that like kind of town area that you were talking about that feels like comfortable with those NPCs. And it almost actually gave me like Zelda town vibes, you know, like a nice sunny Zelda town that like you just want to walk around and talk to everybody, you know, maybe Kakariko or something like that. Or
There is a Wind
um,
Waker element to the game.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, even with the responses of like you know, the blacksmith and like the different characters that you talk to, they're very like Zelda-esque, like you know, kind of got that charm to them, which is cool. I will say though, that I feel like after talking to a specific, you know, let's say it's the blacksmith, you get like 4 or 5 options. Like it's quite a bit of options when you like talk to these people in the town. And if you go through an entire dialogue option, that one still shows up as an option. I almost feel like maybe they should do some sort of thing where like if you read through all the options that aren't the ones that access the shop, basically, maybe it like kind of shrinks them down or like kind of hides them and gives you a little keybind where you can press 3 to like show options you've already chosen before. Just because like every time I would go to a vendor, I would basically have to reread, and be like, "Which one was the shop one?" Because it's like it doesn't just say shop, right? It's like it's posed as like a question. It's like, "Oh, do you have any wares to sell?" You know, or something like that. So, like, just going to, like, uh uh, all of the vendors, it just kind of felt a little too much dialogue, especially after you've seen those dialogue options over and over again. So I don't know, maybe like eventually just be able to boil it down to like, oh, when you walk up to the shop person, like there's just an option to go to the shop or like other options or something like
Hmm.
that, or like tell me what else know or something like that. So I don't know. I just felt that that was a little bit weird, I guess, from a story standpoint, because like, why would I ask this person the same thing or tell them the same thing over and over again of just like, "Do you have any wares to sell?" or like whatever. Um, I don't know, I just kinda felt like that could be a little bit cleaned up, and again, it's early access, you know, always gotta say the disclaimer there, so maybe they have plans for that, but it seems like, based on the description in the game, they do have some good plans for the story. It doesn't seem like the story is gonna be a kind of something that is not really thought about in a game like this, which is interesting, you know? I've never played an extraction shooter that actually, like, tells a story, you
Hmm.
know, and has, like, a campaign, so, um, yeah, we'll see kinda what they come up with.
Yeah, and there's certainly a lot of like RPG elements going on here that
Mhm.
you know feel very like if you're familiar with RPG elements, this feels very bare bones currently, but hopefully gets fleshed out. And I have to imagine that's on the docket as well, not just like overarching story, but like let's make these decisions and things like that matter more, or at least give you more options and just kind of randomize it. Like there's no reason why it can't be if you're already randomizing certain elements of the gameplay. So now I think the star of the show here is the art. Really, I mean, this is just such a striking game. It's kind of what drew us to this game initially. This very cartoony, like this kind of which is like cell shaded kind of art
Yeah, no
style.
like, no shadows, like, on your character,
Yeah, yeah, it
kinda, like
kind of
yeah.
flat in a way, but like
Yeah.
it just looks really really cool. And the fact that they're able to pull it off in this style of game, right? We see a lot of games like this, like these first person shooters, and not just like extraction shooters or whatever, but even like Doom likes that
Hmm.
still try to go for the old pixel style art. But I think this is just so unique and is such a huge drawing point to this game. Like, if you are in love with the gameplay, like, the fact that you're also getting this really great looking game on top of that is such a big bonus. And the character design's so neat. This, I already said, Adult Swim esque thing going on. I, I really love it, and I'm excited to see what things look like as this game goes through early access, because, like you said, there's not a lot of variety right now,
Hmm.
but it could use more, and I'm sure that's on the plan. So, like, once we start to see more variety, it's going to be nice to see what they can come up with, because clearly they have some really talented artists on the team that are designing these characters and these like environments. So I really like it. I want to see more, and it could definitely be something where you kind of get these really iconic looking characters in the indie game sphere.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it definitely has a its own sort of look to it. I've never really seen a game that's like this. Um, and yeah, it does seem like it's a cartoon kind of brought to life as well, which is pretty cool. Just trying to restart the video there for the YouTubers. There we go. Oh, back in the car. But yeah, it kind of has this like it reminded me of like, you mentioned Adult Swim, which is perfect because I was thinking of like, remember when like Family Guy went like they started doing like 3D animations in like their episodes? You're like,
Hmm.
whoa, that looks different, that's what this game kind of feels like to me, is that like it's like so 2D, but then there's also like a lot of elements that are like three-dimensional, like your hand, like the gun, and like looking at the amulet right now, it just kind of gives me a little bit of those vibes. So yeah, I think the art is a strong point. I know that at least this first kind of biome that you're in is like caves. I know you can probably, by making caves, you can get away with not doing a lot because you're like, oh, it's a cave, But I would like to see a little bit more variance with the caves. Maybe even just like having some different colored walls like throughout, or something like that, or maybe like something on the walls because you're in a cave. Maybe there's something on there that like you can mine, or something like that, or like you can grab, that you can maybe use for, I don't know, cooking or something like that. I'm not too sure. So that's the one thing, is that it just kind of looks a lot, um, like it looks similar. Everything looks pretty similar. And I think in a game like this, it's like it's pretty linear. There's not like I don't really remember having any options of like, oh, I could go left here or I could go right. You're just kind of moving from room to room, at least from like what I remember. So when all the rooms look the same, it's not really a big issue because you're not, hopefully shouldn't get lost. But there were a few times in this where I was like, after I destroyed kind of the entrance for the next room, I went back into the room I was in, and then I was like, kind of turned myself around, and I was like, okay, which way? I had to remember like the shapes of the doors versus like a visual cue of like, oh, I was in like this darker cave room was the next one or something like that. So the art style, it is simplistic, but I do think the environment design, the enemy design is great, the item design is great. The environment design, I think, is a little bit too bare bones. And obviously, again, early access, I imagine they're going to improve this as well. And I'm excited to see the other biomes. Like Deep Wood sounds really cool. I can see there being a lot of variance there. So yeah, that would be something that, just a critique of the art. But really, like overall, the game is pretty striking, and it's. I think a lot of people are probably going to try it out because of the way it looks. They see this art style, and a first person shooter. They probably don't even know, think, oh, this is like an extraction shooter. That's it's just very striking. It's a game where I could imagine posting about it on TikTok is probably pretty successful because people are probably like, there's a lot of people like, whoa, like really cool art style. So it's kind of got its own flavor there, which is cool. And then the inventory system as well, like the UI is okay. I wouldn't say it's really it doesn't seem final. Specifically like the health bar, like you can see on the YouTube stream here, it's in the bottom left. It's like sometimes it's hard to know what your health is at. I just kind of feel like maybe just having that in the center or like up in the top middle or some maybe just even a little bit bigger. Because sometimes, I wouldn't realize I would have like lower health. I'd be like, oh, I got to eat something. Even though you do know when you get hit and things like that, I just kind of feel like from a UI standpoint, it's maybe a little too small, a little pushed to the side. But they could definitely improve that as well. So, yeah, overall, happy with the art with this game. It is a strong point, but I'm again like the gameplay, excited to see where they can push it because I think that this art style could be pretty successful. Cuphead, for example, like so much detail,
Hmm.
even though it's like it's got its own art style. Well, kind of steals an art style, but it's at least for gaming, it has like its own art style. People are like, oh, that's the Cuphead art style. So I feel like if this game really went the distance like Cuphead did in terms of like the detail, um, it could be it could be really great. But it's weird. It's like it's simple, but I want like a little bit more variance so that it's not so simple. I like the simplicity, but I don't want it to go too far in like the detailed direction. I just want it to um, not feel like it's too much copy paste. It feels too much copy paste right now
Sure.
with a lot of stuff. So that's really like at the end of the day, kind of what I'm thinking with the art.
Amen. A question. It's always deep forest. Is there no shallow forest? I gotta know. Let's talk about the sound. Anyway, the sound. I mean, this is a great sounding game. So like, listen, they're the devs here, Perfect Random, certainly know the vibe, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to this game, we've talked about how great the art style is, and it's so great that we want a lot more.
Hmm.
Uh, the music here is great as well. Some really good sound effects, giving a lot of character to these characters they designed. It is it's a very fun sounding game, very fun looking game, very fun sounding game. You know, I saw that there was a content warning on the Steam page, and it was like there's blood and gore and stuff like that,
Mm.
which is like you almost forget that there is, right?
Yeah.
Even though like you're hearing this some kind of gross stuff while you're killing these enemies. So like I think that that's kind of speaks to um a great kind of execution here with what they're
Mm.
trying to go for, and I think the sound really rounds it out. I really liked it, and the music was pretty neat as well, vibey, in a cave, almost upbeat, but like still you got the cave sounds and stuff like that. It
Yeah.
was nice, and I'm not gonna be listening to the soundtrack on its own, but I don't think that should be a requirement out of a game. So I enjoyed the sound here.
I agree. It's I was thinking, it's like great adventure music because you
Mm-hmm.
feel like you're kind of on an adventure. Like it's it really yeah, they did a great job with that. And then like the sound effects are like funny, like when you're kind of, killing things or all the kind of silly enemies have like these ridiculous kind of like sounds that they make. So it's good job with that because it kind of keeps it lighthearted. And then just sound effects with like obviously breaking the wood and like everything sounds good. Footsteps don't sound annoying or anything like that. All the weapons sound different, which is good. They're very the weapons in this game aren't, at least from the ones I found, they're not like magical or something like that. They're very grounded in like reality. I found like a shotgun, a pistol, a sniper, like It's not like I'm finding like a ray gun or anything like that. So all those weapons sound just like how I would imagine they would. So that good job overall with the sound. I didn't really have any issues. It didn't sound too loopy either, because you can continue to go on these runs, right? You can choose to extract at any point, so you could have a pretty long run. I would imagine. I think my longest run was maybe like I don't know, 20 minutes, maybe
Hmm.
something like that, 20 30 minutes, something like that. But it does get difficult because you kind of run out of health in this
Yeah.
game. The resources are pretty scarce. So, yeah, but sound wise, everything was fine with that 20 to 30-minute play session. I don't know if things get annoying after that, but I would imagine they don't. I would be pretty confident saying that they didn't have an annoying loop 20 to 30 minutes in. So, yeah, good job with the sound for sure. Surprising part of this game for me, too. I was not going in thinking like, the sound was gonna be like a highlight. I was just gonna be like, "Oh, the sound's gonna be what the sound is," but I really enjoyed the music, and all the sound effects in the game.
Amen. Amen. Performance wise, I think maybe I ran into a couple drop frames here and there. Nothing that was game breaking. Uh, that I could remember. I thought it ran pretty smoothly. I mean, surprisingly smoothly for early access. But like we said, I don't think there's actually a ton of content in the game yet. So perhaps when more content, they could affect the performance here.
Yeah, I didn't have any performance issues, but it's definitely like a big help to those performance. The performance that it has is obviously like the art style as well. So, if they do intend to get more detail with like deep woods or something like that, we'll see if the performance changes. But it is early access, and like it's it runs, yeah, pretty well for early access. And I could even see this game eventually running on like the Switch. Just like I think it's
Mm-hmm.
could be possible, which kind of
Switch 2.
is yeah, Switch 2. There you go, launch title. There you go. It's early access, No, they probably wouldn't have a game with a gun as a launch title, I would imagine,
I
right?
feel
Nintendo?
like Zombie U was a launch title for Wii U.
True. That's true. That is true.
I
And that was
mean,
fun.
that game was awesome, man.
Yeah, I remember playing it at your
The
house. You were the only
multiplayer
person
was,
I knew who had it.
yeah. I think I'm the only
Yeah.
one who had that game.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, let's get to the ratings here. Our ratings are as followed: certified fresh juice. These are your Balitros of the world. A steel pepper grinder. Get on sale. Comes in a lot of shapes and sizes. And then manager special, really specific, games or like games we didn't really enjoy, but if you're into the genre, you might. And then spoiled milk stuff we don't recommend for anyone. I'll start off real quick here. I'm gonna give Sulfur personally a get on sale. I actually think there's a lot of great things going on here and like a very promising future for this, path to 1.0. It's just not my genre of game, and it's like really hard for me to really get into it. I enjoyed the parts that spoke to me, right? The art and the sound, and even like I appreciated the gameplay, but it's just not really my style of game. So
Mm.
that being said, it's a get on sale, right? Like I'm totally happy to own it, right? And I'm excited to see how it goes, and like I'll have more time with it, and I can explore how to be better at it. So yeah, but that's my rating. How about you, Maddie?
I am right there with you. I was thinking on sale as well. And I do think it has the potential for me to like move up to a steal as it goes through like early access. My honestly, you know, I really enjoyed the demo, and I only played a bit of the demo. So I probably thought at that point that, oh, when I play it in early access, there's going to be like a lot more improvements from the demo. But I just kind of felt like it was pretty similar to what I played in the demo. Maybe there were a few more enemy types, but I just feel like in its current state, it's it doesn't have a crazy amount of like replayability as much as I was thinking it was going to have. So I'm giving it on sale, but I am confident that I can get to a point where it can move up to a steal if they work on like the replayability of each run. And maybe it's a skill issue too. Who knows? Maybe like I'm just not, maybe there's a whole nother biome I didn't get to or something like that. But it seems like it's still pretty early with this game, obviously early access. So giving it a tentative steal, but could move up to, or tentative on sale, but could move up to a steal. Also, the price of the game is $25. I think it's a little steep
A little
for a
steep.
game like this.
Hmm.
I know they're a pretty small studio. That it seems like they've been working on the game for a good bit, and I don't know if the art style like costs a lot to like render things like that, or I don't even know. But it seems a little steep for like early access. I would almost rather them maybe make it $10, and then when it fully comes out 1.0 be like, oh, it's going to be 25 or 20. A lot of games do that. They're like, hey, come in early, so it'll be cheaper, and then just know at after this date the price is going to go up. I
Certainly.
almost would have rather that.
I mean, this is also a game that really could do cosmetics and stuff like
Yeah.
that in a like I could see that being something. Or I mean, hey, listen, if they throw that all in there and you get all that in the $25 game, that's great, actually, right? I
Yeah.
almost prefer that $25 out the gate rather than me being like, I really like that skin. I want to
Yeah.
spend another $10. So yeah, interesting price point for the early access. Now we do have listener questions. We don't know what we're
Ooh.
playing next week yet. So stop asking. No, nobody asks ever. Listener questions could be submitted on the Fresh Juice Discord. First one comes from Bags. Saw Bags this weekend as well. Would you rather
Yeah.
only listen to Pitbull songs for the rest of your life or listen to any song, but it has to be sung by Pitbull forever?
So obviously this is the singer, not a dog.
Sure.
But so either way, I have to listen to Pitbull for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So I would rather have him sing any song than have to only listen to his songs. Because I could always choose his songs, right? If I chose any song.
Yeah.
If I was like, oh, I want to listen to a Pitbull song, I want to listen to him not sound terrible. But yeah, so yeah, I guess Pitbull, or I would just move exclusively to like listening to like lo-fi only, or like
Yeah,
things without
instrumentals.
lyrics. Yeah, yeah, just instrumentals. But if there's any lyrics at all, even like you know, um, what do they call that? Like the background, like oh, hey, whatever they call that, it would have to be
Samples.
Pitbull. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess I go with option two. But what about you, Tom? What are you thinking on
I
this hard hitting question from Bex?
it's gotta be option two as well. I mean, I like a Pitbull song as much as the next person, but listen, I don't want to listen to those songs for the rest of my life, and I like instrumental music, and then whatever. If I really, really need to listen to uh, some of my favorite songs, what if Pitbull's singing them? Listen, that's okay. I think he can figure it out. He is Mr. Worldwide after all. He can maybe even improve upon some things. So I got to give him the benefit of the doubt. So option
Yeah,
two.
what other I'm just gonna add an extra question to this
Sure.
one. So if you're gonna choose any song to be sung by Pitbull, which one do you think he would do like a pretty decent job at? Like if you had to choose a song.
Uh, Walk on the Wild Side by Lou
Okay. Lou
Reed.
Reed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. That's a good one. Yeah.
I don't even want to. I mean, he was a she. I don't know. I can't even actually fathom Pitbull singing that song.
Yeah.
But
I was
I
thinking
heard that
like
he's going to be part of his
complicated.
Tiny Desk concert. But
Oh, really? Yeah.
yeah.
It'll be a loud Tiny Desk concert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah. Complicated, Avril Lavigne.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's really he'll hit his stride. No, I don't know. Maybe like some sort of rap song. I feel like he could do a decent job with that because he kind of does that a little bit already, you
Yeah,
know. But he does have a unique voice though, so
he
it
does.
would still be odd. Um, but anyway, yeah. So good question, Bags. Thanks for submitting it. And he also did say he saw this on Twitter, so he's not taking credit for such a creative question. But
Listen,
there
Bags,
you go.
you could have taken credit. We're blue sky boys now. Capolo asked Coke flavored Oreos or Oreo flavored Coke. So, for those who don't know, Coca Cola did
Yeah,
a
Coca Cola. Say
Coca
that.
Cola.
Yeah.
uh,
I want Coke flavored Oreos.
yeah, they did a mishmash cross promotion with Oreo. They had a Coke Zero taste that flavored like Oreos, and then Oreos had Coke flavored cream.
Yeah. Um, this is interesting. I haven't had either of these.
I've had
I haven't
both.
really. Oh, you've had both. All right. So this is what I'm gonna. This is how I think about it. Let me know if we're in agreement since you've had both. But um, I've heard Oreos flavored Coke is good, and I feel like to me I would rather have a drink flavored after a treat than a treat flavored after a drink. So I'm gonna say that Oreos flavored Coke is better than Coke flavored Oreos.
Okay, okay.
And I also feel like a big part of Coke is like carbonation and like how can you get that through a cookie? But you could definitely translate, I would say, unless you're using like Pop Rocks or something in the Coke flavored Oreos. But I would say that a flavor of an Oreo, I can imagine like an Oreo could be in a milkshake, right? So that's already liquid. So I can imagine that Oreo flavored Coke would be taste like an Oreo. Be pretty good. But go ahead, lay it on me.
So
Lay me some
I
knowledge.
had the Oreo flavored Coke first, right?
Okay.
And it was weird. So the problem with it, right? And
Oh
I
boy.
drink almost exclusively like diet soda and Coke Zero and stuff like that. So this was a zero product, right? And you get the flavor of the cream, right? You're like, "Oh, it's like a vanilla Coke." All right. And then you kind of get hit with the chocolate and it clashes hard.
Oh. Okay.
You would think it would enhance the cola flavor. I felt
Yeah.
like it clashed big time, and it would have benefited from having real sugar in it. I think because
Okay.
you know just the inherent nature of an Oreo. But I understand the zero product line is pretty popular. Now I did also have the Oreos. Now the Oreos, while not the best Oreo, certainly a better experience than the Coke.
Okay.
And they do have popping candy in there.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right. All right.
So it's like a
Cool.
cola flavored cream.
Hmm.
So it kind of has that. It's like, that little bite to it, and then the
Yeah.
popping candy. It's not the best. I don't really like either of them, but if I had to choose, I went with the Oreos because
Yeah.
it just is a better experience uh,
Yeah. N-
for the palate.
Now, would you find it weird to dip the Coke flavored Oreos in milk as you would normally do, I guess, with a regular Oreo?
Well, I'm not a milk dipper.
Okay. I'm a milk dipper.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
with my Oreos, I'm not a milk dipper. I like a chocolate chip in milk.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
As a matter of fact, I mean, this is a total aside, but I was at the coffee shop not too long ago. I don't get a lot of cappuccinos, but I got a cappuccino, right? Very milk heavy coffee drink. And I also got a nice chocolate chip cookie, which
No.
I don't just buy a chocolate chip cookie ever. Like if they're made, I'll eat them, but I just saw it in like the jar they had and I was just like that looks like really good. And I
Yeah.
got it. I take a bite. It's a good chocolate chip cookie. And I'm like looking at my cappuccino, and I'm like, it's good. And I
I'm a
dunked it.
genius.
I dunked it in there, dude. Out of control. It was so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Now, all that being said, I don't think I would want to dunk the Coke Oreos in milk.
Okay, but
I
you would
almost
dunk a chocolate chip cookie in a cappuccino.
yeah. Well,
I'm just saying.
that's all flavors that make sense.
Yeah,
I'd
yeah,
rather
yeah.
dip. I will tell you what. I would try
Tell me.
dipping the Coke flavored Oreo into the Oreo
Oh,
flavored Coke first before I
okay.
even thought about milk.
All right.
What if
Yeah.
that's what
Wow,
they
interesting.
wanted? They
Maybe.
should have definitely advertised that. It was like, all right,
Yeah.
let's increase sales of both.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. Um, interesting crossover though. Not one I expected.
yeah,
Curious to see. I mean, Oreo's always doing crazy stuff, I feel like. So, um, curious
yeah.
to see who else they partner up with. I don't know if there would be another drink then that I would want. Maybe like I don't even know.
They could do like Orange Crush. I think that would be like
Yeah,
a
or
nice like
yeah.
creamsicle kind of thing.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah.
A&W cream soda. Um,
Mm,
I don't. So root beer probably not. I like my
yeah.
root beer in a mug, drinking it nice and cold. Not mug root beer. Barks, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, Sparks. It's good.
It's good. Anyway, we got another question. We got two more questions actually. Kmore asks, movie to video game adaptations or video game to movie adaptations?
So, I would have to go, especially lately, video game to movie adaptations. I feel like most of the time, movie to video game adaptations aren't that great. I mean, like, probably the best one I've played that I can think of is like Spider-Man on GameCube. Um, was pretty good, or like Spider-Man 2.
You're missing
So
a big one. A
I'm missing a
banger.
big one.
Oh man.
Banger of a game. What am I missing? Hold on, let me think. What console is it on?
It was on the GameCube PS2 generation.
Oh, 007, James Bond.
No.
No, okay, jeez,
I
all
mean
right.
those were good. I mean,
Yeah,
GoldenEye
yeah.
is a classic.
Mario Kart, Spy Hunter. What am I missing? On GameCube? This was on GameCube?
Yeah,
Based on a movie.
nice little action RPG, hack and slash.
Soul Calibur. Uh,
Lord of the
no.
Rings: The Two Towers, and the
Oh, I
Return of
never.
the
I
Kingdom
don't.
was good too.
Oh, okay. I actually never played those. I don't think.
Wait, you never played them? And our cousin Dan, I felt like I
Well,
played that at
maybe.
Dan's all the time
Yeah, at Dan's, I probably did, but like, I don't remember anything from it really.
because it was like co-op. You could be
Okay.
like Aragorn, I could be Gimli, you could be Legolas, or like third
Yeah.
person was Legolas, and you just run through the different like battles in the movies.
Oh,
It
cool. Was it like a
was
top down? Like, how
yeah,
did it?
like
Yeah.
yeah. It was almost
Yeah.
like Gauntlet, like kind of top
Okay.
down. It was sick, dude.
Cool. Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah,
Cool.
you're right. Yeah,
That's a good one.
those were
But
the
yeah.
golden age of that
Yeah,
stuff.
but I'm going with video game to movie adaptations like lately, especially even like I'll include like video game to TV show adaptations to like different media, I guess. But yeah, what are you thinking for this?
Um, I've definitely enjoyed more movie to video game adaptations in my day, but I was growing up in the time where like every movie had a video game. It felt like, and not a lot were good, but you really liked the movie, so you got the game, and you just kind of liked the game out of obligation. So, and that could even be like what's happening with the Two Towers in my mind, but I'm pretty sure that game was sick. Um, so I I I want to see more movie to video game adaptations in modern day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean,
What
we've
movie?
actually talked about like some stuff already, right? Like,
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago, that one Devolver opening that like kind of pseudo publisher where they publish things like the John Wick Hex and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, a
Yeah.
movie I'd like to see right now
Yeah. That you
turned
would
into a
like
video
as a
game.
game. Yeah.
Oh, my Lanta. I think Oh man.
Oh boy, barbarian.
I mean, that'd be sick. That'd be
I would not play a game like that.
that'd be so sick. Uh, Geez, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Oh, well, actually, I played the Mad Max game from a couple years ago. That game was awesome.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
So another
Yeah.
Mad Max game would be really sick. Like if they really
Yeah.
put all the eggs in that basket, because I felt like the Mad Max game was good, left a lot of meat on the bone. If,
Okay.
if you catch my drift.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Good question.
Carp asks a question that's going to have to deal with something that you're going to talk about in the rec room. So, for those who don't know, Pokemon put out a TCG app on mobile. Carp asked, do you think other TCGs will try making a similar app to the Pokemon TCG Pocket?
I definitely think that they'll try. That seems to be what happened with Pokemon Go, right? Everyone was trying to make a Pokemon Go clone, and seems so far out of the gate, TCG Pocket's pretty big. I wouldn't say it's at the levels of Pokemon Go because that was just like out of nowhere. Um, Now it's kind of like Pokemon mobile games are like a more accepted kind of thing. I think there's been a few of them already. But this is, yeah, it's a great game, and yeah, it is in my rec room coming up next. But I don't know which TCGs would maybe try this. I mean, they would have to have kind of similar rules to Pokemon, which I don't know if every TCG does. Well, everyone doesn't, obviously, but this is kind of an express version, or like it's a twisted version of. Yeah, it's twisted. It's a twist on like actual Pokemon, just to make the games a little bit quicker, I think, overall. But maybe Yu-Gi-Oh would try something like this. I mean, I don't. The thing is that like I don't know how much people have learned from the Pokemon Go clones, where like they're like, okay, like our Pokemon Go clones weren't really successful, and it wasn't because of like our feature set or anything. It's just because we're not Pokemon. Like Pokemon has like a. I was talking about it in my Discord today. Actually, I was just like, honestly, like I'm not a big mobile gamer, but like Pokemon always like snagged me for a certain amount of time. Obviously now Battletro's on the phone, so I am a big mobile gamer. But I think that maybe other TCGs will maybe back down a little bit this time, knowing what happened with Pokemon Go. But I could see at least a few of the bigger ones trying it out to see if you know it does anything. I could also see non-TCGs doing this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to like, I don't know, like Pokemon Go had like Ghostbusters World, like Jurassic, like things that I would never think were like, oh, I guess Ghostbusters is a little bit closer, but like the Jurassic Park one, it's like, what am I going to collect dinosaurs? Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I don't know, just like, why would I be doing that? Catching Pokemon or like hunting down ghosts, I guess, is a little bit more believable in like the real world. So I can maybe see like I don't know, some dumb uh kind of TCG for like maybe a movie. We got the Billy Madison TCG. No, I don't know. Give Billy another beer. That's the mana. Um, or something like that. I'm almost find that more believable than like if other TCGs try to copy it. But you are a resident TCG expert. So I'm gonna say your opinion is probably more in line with what will happen. That's what I'm guessing. But what are you thinking about this, Tom?
Kind of interesting. I think so. The big three are Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic. Magic already has their online arena. It's just like a mobile app that you can play on your computer too. It's like pretty much the main way people play like competitive Magic anymore. And I think that's where the eggs are in that basket. Yu-Gi-Oh! I think also has an app as well, or
Hmm.
has one coming out. There's even like a Switch game coming out, I think. So I don't think if Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not going to do it, Bandai's not going to do it. So the interesting thing about Pokemon is the cash cow of Pokemon. Nobody, I mean, people play the game. The game is not the focus of Pokemon. It's opening the packs, and that's why this app is so successful. You want to open the packs, you want to see the cool Pokemon cards, right? Like
Yeah.
there's the nostalgia there. Magic has cool stuff like that. Yu-Gi-Oh has cool stuff like that. Like all these trading card games have cool stuff like that, but it's not the driving force. Like I see a lot of Pokemon opening TikToks on my For You page, and whenever an account shows up and is opening a Yu-Gi-Oh pack or a Magic pack, I'm like, I could not give two shits. I want to see Pokemon be opened, and I play a lot of Flesh and Blood. I don't even like. I open a lot of Flesh and Blood too, and it's fun to open that. I don't care if a TikTok account is opening Flesh and Blood outside of like me being like, oh, somebody's opening some Flesh and Blood, but like, let's see what stupid expensive Charizard you can open. So like, I don't think the other TCGs will follow suit. I could be wrong. But this is kind of a really unique experience. I think you're more in tune or in line with like other like IPs being like, oh, we'll have like a pack opening thing. We'll create these kind of NFT like quid things.
Yeah,
So I'll be interested to see how much. Apparently, this was already making $3 million a day.
Okay.
Pokemon TCG Pocket, but with that, we'll get to the rec room.
Yeah.
Are you recommending?
What am I reckoning?
I don't know. You tell me.
I am recommending Pokemon TCG Pocket. It has been a surprise to me how much I've actually enjoyed playing this. A big part of it is opening the packs. Right now, though, unfortunately, I've used all of my pack cooldown or pack hourglasses. So I'm waiting for the next free pack that I can get. And I got to do some PvP battles, which actually I didn't even realize was in the game. Well, I remember when it got teased, for some reason I was like, "Oh, this is just a game about trying to like collect them all. Like you're not actually going to be able to battle. Like it's just like, oh, you get a free pack a day, and people will just want to build up their collection." Um, and that's not it. There's a solo battles you can do against like computers, and then there's like PvP battles you can do online, even like private matches too, which is cool. So I think it's been a great time. I love the simplified version of Pokemon. Unfortunately, I am very unlucky with the packs that I've been opening. I'm trying to build like a certain deck. I feel like I've opened so many packs and I just keep getting the same Pokemon. I've actually put some flair on some Pokemon like a few times because I just keep getting the same ones, which is like a mechanic in the game that you can like just kind of give a little bit extra shine or something like that on one of your Pokemon cards. So but overall it's fun. I do wish, I think a lot of people I've seen agree with me, is that like the animations are pretty slow. Like it's a little um like just slow to use. Everything feels kind of slow of just like opening a pack, okay, and like I gotta wait for this animation, and then I gotta choose a pack, and then like after you open the pack, you get like a rundown of what you got, and then you have to swipe things up to go to the Pokedex, and then there's another screen showing you like some other rewards you got. I'm just like, they could all condense that into like one screen, and just make it a little bit quicker. So it's fun. I recommend playing it, but just go into that knowing kind of go into it knowing what I just kind of said there. But and we have played too, which has been fun. Although I will say, like, I wish it was easier to see when your friends were online. I have like a few people like from Reddit that I added, and like I never know when anyone's online. I would like to just like do a private battle, and see like how far behind am I with like these random people I've like, are they gonna drop like a few like EXs down like right away and I'm just screwed? So, but it's fun. It's a good time.
Some of the decks are so busted. You just got a net deck and figure it out. But we do need to talk about your flair.
My flair.
15 pieces is the minimum.
If you want me to wear more flair, make 15 pieces the minimum. I'm expressing myself.
Great motion picture.
Yep.
My recommendation is the TV show English Teacher, which is on FX or Hulu, I guess. I don't know how. I don't even know how channels work anymore. But it is a show by Brian Jordan Alvarez, a TikToker and I think Vine person I watched at some point. But he's a TikTok comedian, actor, and he got this show, and he had been promoting it on TikTok, and like it's like a pretty good promotional campaign. And Lady Fresh and I are just like, maybe we'll watch it, maybe we won't. I don't know. We keep showing up on our For You page. It's like, all right, we'll just give it a shot. If it sucks, it sucks. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And it's really good. It's funny. And it's like a really good sitcom. It doesn't take itself too seriously. Great characters. Really enjoying it. It's very like quick. The dialogue's really quick too, which I like. Almost feels like for TikTok in a way, but like it is a pretty solid show so far. We watched about 5 episodes of the first season. So English Teacher on FX.
I feel like it's rare these days to like find a good sitcom, you know? So it's like a lot of dumb like daytime TV ones. But yeah, that's cool. When you first wrote that down in the rec room, I was like, oh, he's thanking his English teacher for something like back in high school. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Is it an American show?
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, because it's called English Teacher, I didn't know if like it's like they're in Japan and like there's an English teacher or something.
Yeah, I guess I should give a little bit of a synopsis. It's about a English teacher at a high school, and he's gay, and basically it sets up that like he has to deal with all like these stupid students and their parents, and he had a teacher that worked there the previous year was his boyfriend. They kissed each other, and then one of the kids who saw it came out as gay in college, so the mom threatened to get him fired. So now he's just not allowed to date anybody that he works with anymore. And then there's another hot gay guy at school, and it's very funny, and they kind of play off a lot of those tropes. So
nice, cool. Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So listen, this is going to do it for the show. I've been your host, one of them, Tommy Fresh. You can find me at Fresh Buds Pod. I have another podcast about Flesh and Blood TCG. This week we're going to have William Knuckles from the Table Pit YouTube channel. Does great content over there. You can find us on all socials at Fresh Juice Pod. I'm on Blue Sky. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me exclusively on Blue Sky. I am on Blue Sky at Matty Gorm. But yeah, at Matty Gorm on all the socials, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all that good stuff. And yeah, be sure to join the Discord. We've been talking about the bazaar in there today, which has been cool to get some perspective. So I'm definitely going to be playing that when it comes out, like free to play in December, just because I don't think I'm going to have a lot of time to like get into it right now. But yeah, it's a cool place to hang out. So join the Discord. But Tommy, another good episode in the books.
Another great episode. You can call me Tommy Fresh Jordan. Thank you so much. Please stay fresh and have a